Welcome to tonight's 500 episode. That's right, 500 episodes. I know, right? Of the Klown podcast. I'm Scott Burst. Please continue to check me out on Facebook. Just do a search for the Klown Times. It's Klown spelled with K. You find me there as well. I've been making some posts here and there. You can check out our website www.theklowntimes.net and trying to get that updated. I've been busy. I know I've been too busy vlogging, shorts, TikTok, all that good stuff. So please bear with me on that. You can check me out in those two places. And last but not least, you can check me out on YouTube. Just do a search for the Klown Times. You'll find me there. You'll find all of my foolishness there as well. But to ring in this podcast, my 500 podcast, I got to bring in my man, my partner. Y'all know him from the yard, such HBCU Sports, for all things HBCU Sports, excuse me, as well as Sleazy Ritter every Tuesday night on Facebook Live and YouTube. And last but not least, it's great work on HillSports.com and raps about all things SCS athletics as they pertain to HBCU sports. The one, the only, the Wayne Nash, aka Nostradamus, is back in the house. How you doing, bro?
Oh man, if only I could have picked that Super Bowl right this year. Ugh. That's another
Man,
conversation for another time. But
exactly,
first,
exactly.
first and foremost, I'm just glad to be here on this iconic show. I know I've been here for the majority of the ride, and
Mm-hmm.
thank you for having me join you throughout this journey. But 500, man, 500 is a magical number.
Yes,
Congratulations.
thank you. And right quick, for those who don't know, we started this thing out on Blog Talk Radio, Sans video. So we did the audio thing for a very long time. And basically, I counted up all those episodes. We had over 300 episodes on Blog Talk Radio alone. And so I just carried that out over to YouTube. And yeah, man, it's been a journey. It's been at least, was it 2025? So it's been at least 12, 13 years, man.
Yeah.
That
Wow.
is crazy.
God, when you say it
13
out loud
years.
like that, I don't think about it, but
Right.
ooh.
12 to 13 years. I remember my very first podcast where, dude, when I listened to my very first podcast over again, it was a solo podcast. I was like, there's nowhere in the world I could do this because I sounded so crazy. I was talking about the NBA playoffs. I think it was 2013. And I just sounded awful. I listened to it over like shortly after I recorded it, and I was like, this is terrible. How am I going to do this? But I mean, again, 12 plus years later, here I am, still doing it. So looking to go into the next evolution of it, wherever that is, however I can come about it. It's been a crazy ride, but it's been a fun ass ride. And
Yes.
getting over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube was even more fun. Looking to push the milestone to 1,500, then 2,000, then who knows. But as they say, it's a journey, ain't a sprint. It's a freaking marathon, and it's fun. I mean, I'm all about the grind,
Has
man.
been.
It's the grind has been fun. Talking to you, our NBA homies, Kevin and Jared, our HBCU crew. We've had them on many times before. My tennis homegirl,
Mm-hmm.
the snarky one herself, Janina. Um, it's been great, man. It's been great, and I'm blessed. And what can I say? 500 podcasts. 500.
Congratulations, brother.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, before I get too salty sentimental, let's just jump into it. Um, we hadn't talked since the NBA All Star Weekend, and it's still terrible. Even though the slam dunk contest, thanks to one Mac McClung from your neck of the woods, near your neck of the woods in Northern Virginia,
Yeah.
doing the damn thing. Had a 50 on all four of his dunks, and well worth it. Now you have NBA cats such as John Morant chiming in, saying that feeling that like wants to get into it. I think Zion called the shot as well, and I think Zach Levine and Aaron Gordon called this shot. So anyway, aside from that, we'll get to the dunk contest for a minute, but let's talk about the game, how terrible the game was. You had like Team Shaq, Team Kenny, Team Charles. team, Candace Parker. They had range from the newest to the oldest of the OGs.
Yeah.
He's ended up winning in 40, his first to 40. But it's terrible.
Oh no, it was first to 40. And they won 41-25.
Yeah. It's terrible. I don't need a N1. I love the N1 mixtape. Don't get me wrong. But I don't need an N1 mixtape doing the NBA All-Star weekend like that. I don't need to see Kevin Hart short ass just talking trash on the microphone while they're playing ball. I don't need that. Just give me why don't players care?
That is a wonderful question.
Why don't
right?
they care?
And we talked about it with Sleazy Sports. For those of you who have watched, Sweet Luke completely believes that I am a LeBron hater. I am a LeBron detractor, but I'm not necessarily a LeBron hater.
You're a hater.
And one of the things that I kind of discovered was that, and I don't know if it's necessarily true, right? Because I'm not sitting here watching tape or anything. I'm just looking at stats.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the stats. However goes LeBron, so goes the All-Star game.
Right.
However, that might not be completely necessarily true. But to your point, why does it suck? It boggles my mind because, of course, the OGs are supposed to be the ones that kind of drive the game.
Right.
That's how it's been throughout my entire lifetime. You come into the 80s, the older players from the 70s were the ones introducing the young players in the 80s. Mm-hmm. The 80s, when we get to the 90s, they're the ones bringing in the young kids from the 80s and so on and so forth. And I just find it ironic that a lot of these young players love the scream mama mentality. But when it comes to the All-Star break, they might as well sit next to me. They might as well. Now, I have to ask you, in your opinion, why do you believe the All-Star game is bad?
Players don't give a damn. They don't give a damn. I mean, if remember last year when it was defense optional, when both teams scored over 200 points? I know one team scored over 200 points. The other team came close to scoring over 200 points as well. I mean, it's like, why watch this? Why watch this? I mean, again, we're men of a certain age. I'm a couple years older than you. We remember in the 80s when players cared. We remembered when pride was on the line and they took that shit rather seriously. We remember that in the 90s as well, in the early 2000s when players cared. We remember, can you imagine Kobe sitting through this going, what the fuck are we doing? Why would I let you score on me? Jordan, why would I let you score on me? Barkley, same mentality. Karl Malone, Patrick Ewing, Keem Olajuwon, David Robinson, Shaq himself, Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, Alonzo Mourning. I could go on and on and on and on. Those players had fucking pride.
Now,
these guys don't give a shit. It just calls for what it is. They don't give a shit. And it carries over to other aspects, but I'll let you finish.
They don't. And whenever I hear people come up with the concept of maybe we need to pay them more, what? Is this what this is coming down to?
Dude, the Super Max now is over $60 million a year. Do you need to get paid more? What are we doing? We got
they want to give them more money as an incentive to play harder in the All-Star game, to participate in the dunk contest.
Oh my God.
I find all this to be laughable. Now, this is where I gotta come at you a little bit in terms of hard play, right? Okay. And again, I don't have any sustainable proof. I haven't done the research that I need to do, and I will soon, right? Because I'm really intrigued by this. Okay. We do have to understand that the style of basketball has completely changed from our youth, right?
Right, of course.
Hell, it's completely changed over the past decade.
You can't play defense anymore. Yeah, I get it.
And it's not necessarily the fact of whether or not you can or can't play defense. Shooting has most definitely changed. And your shot decisions. Now, you had to take into consideration that, when we were coming up, all-star game totals, teams would have like maybe 110, 120.
Sure.
130 was like, oh my God, right?
Right. That was
And then
yeah.
you get 140, whoo. But you start getting into the 160s, 170s, and now, like you said, 200s.
Yeah.
The amount of 3-point shots that are taken, not just by
Ridiculous.
guards, but
It's
by big
ridiculous.
men as well.
To your point,
Uh-huh.
I'm piggybacking on you. To your point, you have like Robin Lopez's big ass going out shooting threes from Milwaukee.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. No,
Yeah.
I think it's Brooks. Is it Brooks or Robin? One of the Lopez twins. Just goes up there and shoots three. Get your big ass on the block. Same with Joel Embiid. Yes, he has a sweet outside shot. I get that. Get your big ass on the block. No, he's unstoppable in the post. And Jokic, he can stroke it, yes. Pause. But he can, but he's a big guy. He needs to get his ass on the block too. It's a different game.
Yeah.
It's no such thing as a post game anymore. The mid-range game is all but gone. You know who's the only one that's doing the mid-range game? DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
He's the only one with a sound mid-range game. And Kevin and Kevin Durant as well.
Durant.
They're the
Okay.
only two guys that have a mid-range that's worth a damn. Those are the only two guys.
And because of it, this is the game that we currently have. It's either I'm going to dunk it or I'm going to shoot the three.
Yeah.
Either or.
Yeah.
And the thing that has become the issue is not just the play, it's what the league is trying to force feed us with. Mm-hmm. And that is the celebrity that they're trying to attach to this. Now, when I heard about the concept of the All-Star game, I started to get a little bit excited. I'm like, okay, so they're going to have like a tournament style thing. Let's see how this goes. I want to see how these legends end up drafting players. Only for what to happen, Scott, for this thing to be completely set up.
Yeah.
To have these teams set up the way that they want it, where they had the OG team, the current player team, and the international team.
Right.
Really? So we went ahead and just had this whole thing set up from the beginning on exactly how we want to have these teams set up. I didn't even pay attention to it until they got halfway through the draft, and Chuck is like, yeah, I'm only getting international players. Shaq is like, I'm only getting the OGs. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Is this a setup?
Yeah, it's total setup.
It was a complete setup.
It's total setup, yeah.
And for people who are screaming that having like an international versus America style tournament thing going on the way that the NHL is doing it, they tried it. That's legit what we just watched. And with the exception of it not being a full game.
Right.
No one liked it.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And even when they talked about Kevin Hart coming out there being the MC, I was expecting it to be more and one than what it was, and it wasn't. Mm-hmm. And it got to a point where he was most definitely annoying the players on the floor, right?
Right.
Because he's talking directly to them. Had he been like MCing the game and doing commentary on the floor, I thought that may have been a little bit more comical. He was nowhere near that, and they didn't even do anything that to that effect, and it was a disappointment to me.
Right.
But yeah, to the whole point, and to listen to Draymond cry all day Sunday about what the game should be. Bro, those are your contemporaries. Those are your teammates. And how about you talk to them and make them play hard so we don't have this type of situation?
And Oscar Robertson had a response for him. You saw the response he had?
Yeah. And he right. He right. How about this, Draymond? How about you play harder so that you can make an all-star game so that we can make it a little bit more competitive? How about that? Instead of you just making one all-star game of York. You make one more all-star game than me and play how many more seasons in the NBA than I did.
Yeah.
But you want to come out here and cry that you don't want to see rookies playing on Sunday. Well, don't have the rookies play on Sunday. Y'all play hard so we can watch y'all.
Right. You know what? But going back to your point about the world versus the USA versus the world, I think that would be a good concept. I mean, for the whole game. Because I think guys will care. The international players will definitely care. I believe they will care a lot. I think if the American-born players think Anthony Edwards, John Morant, that crew,
Yeah.
that ilk. I think they would care a lot more if you have this up like that. I don't think they want to be the ones that say, "Hey, hey, a bunch of Euros are better than we are." I don't think they want to go out like that. I mean, could you imagine a squad with Giannis, Siakam,
Mm-hmm.
who else? Uh,
Basically, Chuck's team would
yeah,
be that team.
pretty
Yeah.
much. I mean, all great players. SGA. I
Wimby,
don't know if I mentioned Jokic. I probably did already. Luca.
Luca,
I mean,
Wimby.
that's a Wimby, dude. That's
Yeah,
a fucking squad, man.
that is a tough team.
Yes, I think they would care. I think the Euros would love to take it to the American-born players. They
Well,
would
you know what?
love that. Would
Maybe
love
we
that.
need to do that. Maybe we need to do that
I
because
think we should do that shit.
my thought process was,
Yeah.
okay, it has to get to a point where we start phasing out those guys that don't want to participate in this game anymore, and
Mm-hmm.
have these young guys that want to play, that want to show up, that want to have the honor of being an all-star and playing on that Sunday, participate in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say that all the all-stars are that way. I, I got to look at last year's all-star game to kind of get an understanding whether or not that's the case or not. But my question is this, though, Scott. If we do that, if we end up doing an international versus US all-star style, are
Mm-hmm.
we going back to the Elam ending, or are we going back to a regular full quarter? Let's hash it out.
No, do this regular 4 quarters.
Let's do it old school.
Do it
Okay,
old
yeah.
school. Toss it up. Go 4 quarters. Mano a mano. My crew is
Yeah.
better than your crew. Prove it.
But my next question would be this though, Scott. So
Mm-hmm.
if it ends up being a game where it's like 170, 180, 175, or even 190, 187, are you upset?
Yes, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think
Mm,
those Euros are going to try and play defense on the Americans.
mm.
I don't think it's going to happen. I would be upset to answer your question. Yes, highly upset and disappointed. I don't think it's going to happen.
Now,
I think those guys will care enough to be like, "You're not scoring. You're not doing this to us. We're better than you.
now
We're going
I
to show
feel
you
this
better
way
than
about it, Scott. Even if
you."
it's a high scoring affair, as
Mm-hmm.
long as it's close,
Sure,
I don't mind. If it's
sure.
10 points or less, I don't mind. It's
Mm-hmm.
these 25-point blowouts that we've seen in recent years
Right.
where I'm like, and again, it's not to say that it hasn't happened, during the 80s and 90s. Again, I got to look back to make the check and see to prove that that wasn't the case, because my guess is that it probably has happened.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it just most definitely, the optics of it all
Mm-hmm.
just hasn't looked right since 2016,
No, it hasn't.
and that's why everyone has been up in arms in that situation. And you know what makes that year so significant, in my opinion? Well, I mean, 2016 is significant in my opinion because I think that's when the All-Star game started to become what we currently have right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's significant because that's Kobe's last All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
During that time frame, I believe LeBron has had 4 of his 5 lowest scoring outputs in an All-Star game,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I believe, 13 points or less. Um, and again, like I said, that's when they've been tinkering with the game, trying to figure out a way to make it more appealing to the fans. And I think this U.S. versus the world thing might be the last bastion of hope that we have, trying to salvage this thing the way that we currently see it. Same thing
Right.
with the dunk contest.
Yes, I got a lot to
I
say
don't
about that too, but I'll let you have
I
it.
don't believe none of them to quote an old friend of the show, Reverend Mumbo Sauce.
Yeah,
I don't believe these Bama, so they do it. I
I
don't.
agree.
I don't.
I
It's easy
blame.
to say what you want to do a year in advance,
It's a matter of putting your money where your mouth is.
especially if no one's going to hold your feet to the fire.
Yeah. Here's the thing, bro. First of all, I'll get to who I blame for all of this,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we'll agree on who's to blame to this. And
Okay.
here's a hint. He had a lot to do with this All Star that All Star weekend as well. But I'll get to that in a moment.
Okay.
I think, and let's just keep it up. I think the fact that you have not only a G Leaguer dominate a slam dunk contest with awesome dunks and being talked about,
Mm-hmm.
but that same G League have to be a 6'2" white.
Yeah.
I'm just giving it a buck.
Yeah.
I'm just giving it a buck. I think the fact that he's a kid, that kid is showing up these pros, having pros scared out of their damn minds, it's laughable. It is
It's
funny as
laughable.
hell to me. I love his dunks. The boy is talented. The boy, I mean, hell, people think he's a scrub. He's a reigning G Leaguer MVP. Not many people know a lot about this kid. He's a
Mm-hmm.
reigning MVP of the G League. Yes, it's the G League, but to get to the G League, you have to have a bit of talent, let alone
Yeah.
be the fucking MVP. You got to have skills. This young man has skills. Remember watching him at Georgetown and later, I think, at Oklahoma? I forgot where. But
Yeah, because he's from the Blacksburg area. I thought he went to
Texas Tech. I
Tech,
think
but he went to
Texas Tech.
I believe it's Oklahoma.
Yeah. You're probably right about that. But the point is that, and chat, correct me on that. I know you will. But the point is that you have this kid playing with house money for 3 years
3
in a
years
row,
straight. Yeah.
just playing with house money. Has guys scared to face this kid. That's what's funny about it. So
Yeah.
we always saying it, I need John Morant to shut the hell up and get out there with him. You need a 6'2" guy on a 6'2" guy. You know what I'm saying? Zion, get your fat ass out there. If you say you're gonna do it, do it. But there's one person. The reason why no one gives a damn about the slam dunk contest anymore, at least the stars, I blame one guy, and I think you agree. LeBron James.
And there we have it, right?
He
So
didn't want to do it. He never
he
wanted to
never
do it.
wanted to do it, and
Yes.
that goes back to it goes back to sleazy sports and having a conversation with Lou. Lou loves to try to put the comparisons between LeBron and Kobe, and he tried to put Kobe in this situation as well. And I'm like, at least Kobe did the dunk contest once and won it.
That's correct.
LeBron has never done it.
He's never done it.
Never done it.
Never, ever, ever. The great Michael Jordan did it several times.
Yeah.
Dominique did it several times. They had head-to-head twice, at
Yeah.
least twice.
Yeah.
Sean Kipp, I think, done it.
Uh-huh.
Liberty ass Spud Webb, all 5'7" of them has done it and won it. Nate Robinson, Vince Carter, one of the best slam dunk contests between him and Tracy McGrady I've ever seen. He's done it. And the aforementioned Tracy McGrady has done it. Guys have done it. Superstar have done it. Dr. J, if you go old school, Dr. J in the 80s, Larry Nance, they've done it. The great David Thompson in the freaking 70s has done it. You know what I'm saying? You superstars used to do that and took pride because they're like, you're not better than me in anything.
Yeah.
Same with this three-point contest. No, the three-point contest is different because stars do the three-point contest. I'm not going to knock it. Mm-hmm. But even back then, Larry Bird calling a shot against Reggie Miller, Dale Ellis, all those guys.
And if a star got beat by, a role player, it was what it was.
Yeah.
And came back out the next year trying to beat him again.
Exactly. That's how it was. It's this thing called competition.
Yeah.
Who's the best? Who's the best? Steph Curry does a three-point contest. Klay Thompson did a three-point contest. Remember they had that head-to-head a few years ago?
Yeah.
It was crazy. Dame Lillard done it in the three-point contest against Steph Curry and those guys. Mm-hmm. These guys have the three-point contest is something different. You got guys who are great shooters. They care about that shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They got the pride and the ego to say, hey, no one's better than me about this. I'm gonna prove it. I get that. Three-point contest is fine with me. It's just a slam dunk contest. Save for Mac McClung doing his thing the last 3 years. Been trash. Guys we don't know.
Yeah.
God bless them for trying, but we don't know who these guys are. We don't. Now, this one guy, I forget his name. I think he plays for Houston. He and Mac McClung came down to those two guys. He had pretty damn good. Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
your boy from San Antonio.
Yes, that
I
kid.
can't remember what his name is,
He's pretty
but
good.
yeah,
He's good. He's good. He's
uh-huh.
pretty good. But
But you know
at
what?
least he did it.
Yeah, those are those situations where we don't know who these guys are coming into the dunk contest, but they end up doing things that impress us, and we end
Mhm.
up following them from that point on.
Right.
But yeah, it's just the lack of star power in the dunk contest and the unwillingness to even really hustle and participate in the All-Star game that has got us to this point right now.
Yeah.
So, you know, if what do you do if this international versus America thing does not work at that point? What do you do?
Then you just take it out back and shoot it. You take the All-Star game out back and shoot it. That's what you do. You know, no one if that fails, if that does fail, then it is what it is. Players just don't give a shit. And if they don't give a shit, why should the fans give a shit?
Yeah,
And if the fans don't give a shit, why should the networks give a shit?
yeah,
You know what I mean? I mean that. Look, I know it's a different sport, and I won't belabor the point because I know we got to talk some HBCU sports right quick. But you see the way NHL did the All Star Weekend.
mm-hmm.
They had a four nations tournament, round robin tournament, and the two best went for it for the championship. You saw how much those guys cared.
Yeah.
Hell, in the U.S. Canada game, doing the round robin game, they were like, how many fights in the first 9 seconds?
Oh, they brawled out.
I mean, they cared.
Yeah.
It's an All-Star weekend. It's a glorified exhibition game, but they cared because you know why? Pride, competition.
Well,
They cared.
it's a combination of that pride and the fact that it's something that fans and players haven't seen done in
Yeah,
such a long time. Because I
right.
believe 2016 was the last time that what was the year that they stopped NHL players from participating in the Olympics.
Yeah, they did.
And
Gary Bettman's the last commissioner, but go ahead. That's another story.
yeah,
Right.
so with
Yeah.
that happening, and now you introduce this before the next Winter Olympics when they're able to
Mm-hmm.
come back, you
Yep.
kind of get this introduction of what we might get in the Winter Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
So not only did you have the hype behind it from the fan perspective, but from that player perspective as well, which made everybody want to come and throw down,
Right.
literally.
Literally.
So
Yes.
now it's just sad that the two All-Star games that I grew up with in my entire life are now the two wackest All-Star games
Mm-hmm.
that we're watching right now with the NFL Pro Bowl and the
Yes,
NBA
Lord.
All-Star
That's
weekend.
terrible. That I hadn't watched the Pro Bowl in several years. It's terrible. Now it's a flag football contest. It's
Yeah.
terrible. I don't want it. So yeah, and speaking of LeBron, one last part shot on his ass. He also went to the very last minute to say, I'm not playing this year.
Yeah.
Took away a roster spot from someone.
Yeah.
So fuck him. So
Yeah.
anyway, let's just move on to this last thing. We'll get you on this, man. The crown jewel of what you talk about, what you do. With March Madness coming this way and college basketball, we got to talk about how it affects the HBCU lane. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, who are your HBCU teams that you are watching to make in some whatever type of impact, or who's actually the favorites actually out of the SWAC, out of the MEAC to make the NCAA tournament?
Well, right now, the best team in the SWAC for the men, it's Southern. And let me check to make sure that I got that correct. Yeah, it's Southern that
Yep.
currently has a 3-game lead on Jackson State right now on the men. And with the women, I'm sorry, no, I take that back. That is Southern with the women's side. No, that is Southern with the men's side. I'm sorry. And wait a minute, okay, I knew it was something that was missing. Oh God.
That's all right.
So yeah, Southern currently has a 3-game lead with the men, and with the women, it's Texas Southern that has a half-game lead on Southern. Now,
Mm-hmm.
with the SWAC, they have it so that their tournaments are currently set up to be 8 teams. So there are 4 teams, both men and women, that won't make the conference tournament on their way to potentially getting an automatic qualifying bid to the NCAA tournament. And we all know once you make it into the tournament, it's anybody's game. Even though they're currently, I believe, like either third or fourth place for the men's side of the SWAC, Texas Southern always is a threat. They've won the conference tournament 7 of the last 10 times and 3 out of the last 4. So I don't put anything past them, even though last year's champion Grambling is still competitive. And like I said before, Southern looks pretty good as well right now. So we'll see how things look and how the pairings come about once those tournaments are ready. And on the MEAC side, it's the same team on both sides. That's Norfolk State. You know, the women have been strong all season long in conference play, with a slight lead over Howard. Same thing. Well, I'm sorry. The men who had 20 wins for the 3rd straight year, currently have a slight lead over South Carolina State right now. It's intriguing, where the men's side, it's a matter of who wins the. I mean, same thing with the MEAC and SWAC. It's a matter of who wins the tournament. That's who gets in. But there is a huge question looming over the women's team for Norfolk State that currently has 24 wins themselves. 24-4. Is their resume good enough to be an at-large bid if they don't win the conference tournament? They've had some decent wins. They've had some tough losses against some ranked teams, but 24 wins, oh my God, that is kind of tough to ignore. But the question is, are they an 11th seed? Because that's probably what they would end up getting.
That'd be the ceiling. Yeah, that'd be the
you know,
ceiling.
as an at large.
Right.
And I'm not necessarily sure about that as of right now. I would be completely disappointed if they're not in the conversation, because again, 24 wins, 24 wins, 24 wins.
And that'll be the lowest out large seed on the men and women. It's the 11th seed typically.
Yeah,
at large. But go ahead. As one.
And then we can't forget our Lady Aggies, who are currently in first place in the Coastal Conference right now. But the thing that bothers me about them is, unfortunately, for the past 2 seasons, they've come out coming in as the number 2 seed, getting knocked out in the first round. So hopefully, especially after the run that they made in the NIT last year, that they take that as a learning experience going into the conference tournament this upcoming year, and they're capable of going in and winning it all. The thing that I'm afraid of, though, is looking at some of the bracketology for the women's basketball side. Is that if they are capable of winning the Coastal, they're going to end up facing that UCLA team out west. And that UCLA team is pretty tough. Coming out of the God, I'm about to say the Pac-12. No, they're the Big Ten.
Big Ten.
Yeah,
that's wow.
It still boggles my mind.
Conference realignment is something else, man. But A&T, if our Lady Aggies can win the Colonial, man, that would be huge. That would be very huge. But,
it'll be wonderful, because of course that'll be the first team in the program's history of being in the Coastal to win a Coastal championship. So that will be big. Matter of fact, even if they are to win the regular season championship, and I believe there are only 3 games left in regular season play, so if they're capable of holding on and winning out, they will be the first team in the university in the athletics for A&T to win one in the Coastal. I keep wanting to say Colonial. These name changes, these conference changes. Oh my God. But yes, keep an eye out, like I said, for what happens in the MEAC for both Norfolk State teams, but keep an eye out for Howard, both the men's and women's team. Howard's men have won back-to-back years for the tournament for the MEAC men's side. They're currently in 3rd place, and they've had their struggles. And when I say they've had their struggles, oh my God, they've lost to the likes of Morehouse and Bowie State this year. So, they've had their highs and they've had their lows. But my thing is, are they going to be capable of dethroning Norfolk State in the conference tournament? Same thing can be said about the Lady Bison as well. Will they be able to do the same, or is there going to be a surprise elsewhere?
Yeah, I get you. So Where can I find your great work on the internet?
As of right now, I'm a little dormant outside of course, covering the Division II,
Mhm.
the tournaments that are going on right now. Of course, the oldest conference in the nation, the oldest HBCU conference in the nation, is currently having their basketball tournament, the CIAA, right up the street in Baltimore.
Yeah.
So I've been tweeting out the scores and following along with that. But you might see something from me in the coming weeks because I want to go ahead and preview the football schedules for FCS HBCUs. So you'll be able to find that and along with my normal coverage in the football season at herosports.com. And you can always find me anywhere on social media at the Yard HBCU.
And you could also find me on Facebook. Again, the Clown Times, Possible with K. You can find me on here on YouTube. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe because we'll be glad you did, and you'll be glad you did. So until next time, y'all, take care. Have a great weekend. Peace out.